How's it going, everybody? Thank you very much. Always appreciate it. I am Orlando Ruiz Jr. Welcome to another classic movie review. With this being 2026, it is the anniversary of another one of my many favorite films. This one from 1986, produced by the late Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer, who brought us classics like Bad Boys, Days of Thunder, The Rock, Beverly Hills Cop, many other movies. And yeah, directed by the great Tony Scott, the late great Tony Scott, who brought us, of course, Beverly Hills Cop 2, Days of Thunder, and Crimson Tide, and True Romance, and The Fan, Spy Game, so many more films, Man on Fire, and so on. Of course, the film is Top Gun, which is a place established in 1969, a fighter pilot training school to teach aerial combat to the best fighter pilots in the world. The film stars a young Tom Cruise in the role of Pete Maverick Mitchell, a fighter pilot with a lot to prove because his father had the reputation of being a good pilot before he mysteriously disappeared on a mission, and all that info on all that is classified. And so Pete kind of has a chip on his shoulder whenever he goes up into the air in his F-14, flying a bit recklessly, a little bit too dangerous for his Rio, played by Anthony Edwards in the role of Goose. And throughout the movie, Pete and Goose, Maverick and Goose, that's their call signs, their naval aviator call signs. They have this competition with other people in the flight school, the Top Gun class, and among those, you got Val Kilmer as Iceman. You have Slider, played by Rick Rossovich, who was in The Terminator and Roxanne. You also have a young Tim Robbins in there as Merlin, who in the same year, I believe, also appeared in Howard the Duck. You also have the late James Tolkien, rest in peace, passed away a few months ago in March, the 26th of this year. He was in classics like Back to the Future and Dick Tracy, and also appeared in 1987's Masters of the Universe. So yeah, he'll be missed. He was always a welcome face in a bunch of these old 80s movies. You also got Michael Ironside, who got the shittiest call sign name of Chester. Unfortunately, yeah, he got screwed over with that one. But yeah, you also got Strawberry from Up in Smoke. Tom Skerritt plays Viper. And of course, you got the love interest, Kelly McGillis of 1985's Witness. In this movie, she plays, well, I believe her call sign is Charlie. Technically, she is a civilian, but she is an instructor at the Top Gun school. Pete Mitchell, Maverick, Tom Cruise falls for her pretty hard. Just a couple of days ago, I had the privilege of seeing this on the big screen. And even though I've seen this movie many times because I did grow up with this movie, saw it on cable, eventually we had the VHS, and then later on, I moved out on my own and got my own collection. I got the DVD, and then eventually I got the Blu ray. And so I've seen this a bunch of times, but seeing it on the big screen for the first time with the sound, with hearing the engines of the jets like rumbling, and just the flybys and just the whizzing by noises and all that, the sound design and all that, it really was like watching it for the first time all over again. And that's the beauty of the theatrical experience. Top Gun is one of those movies that was meant for the big screen. Yeah, sometimes there might be a little 1980s cheese and sometimes a bit of corny dialogue, but for the most part, the material is treated pretty, straight on. Tony Scott really gives everything kind of a serious tone for the most part. There is a bit of, joking around every now and then between, all the boys and the group of pilots, the camaraderie and all that, which lends for, a bit of humor every now and then, a bit of levity, because overall, when they get up there in the air in those F-14s, it really is life and death, and you do feel the peril when they're in those planes, whether they're in the exercises, the training exercises, or whether they actually are in combat. When they're in those planes up in the air, there is a risk involved, and you do feel that. And I really appreciate that about this movie. It captures the risk these pilots take every time they go up in the air. And one of the discussions that people talk about when it comes to this movie for a long time have been the so-called, homosexual underpinnings throughout the movie in certain scenes, those gay theories that people tend to have when it comes to this movie, which personally I think some people just read a little bit too much into that. Like, I think people project that kind of thing, but at the same time, there are certain parts where I can understand why people would think that or why they would see that. I mean, in the volleyball scene, there is quite a bit of posturing and posing, and there's a song called "Playing with the Boys," and so, it's I get it, I get it. There's a little bit of that in there. And although it has the 80s corniness and cheesiness, I think overall what really makes this movie a good film in the end is the fact that all the actors perform all the cheese with 100% conviction to the point where it's believable when something happens, when something serious happens, when a character dies, you believe how people react, you believe the emotion and you can get caught up in it, especially with such a great music score from Harry Faltermeyer. The way that Tom Cruise played the character of Maverick in this film is one of the many reasons why we come back to this movie time and time again as fans, and why the movie is so rewatchable, not just for the steamy love scene, which is a very steamy love scene for no nudity love scene. It's all in the tongue work, I think. But yeah, you have that glorious aerial dogfighting action, but then you also have just very simple character work, and it's subtle, but it's there because even though Maverick is kind of a simple character on the outside, even in quiet moments, you can see the wheels turning in his head in certain scenes, and it's actually a pretty compelling character to watch. Yeah, it's just a fantastic film, in my opinion. You think that people like to make fun of this movie, but although I understand, I get it. At the same time, there's a vibe to it. It really is the ultimate package. It's a blockbuster summer popcorn movie, but also has a bit of weight to it because of Tom Cruise's performance, because of Tony Scott's direction, because of Harry Faltermeyer's music score, because of the cinematography, and just all those ingredients put together, plus the crazy 80s soundtrack. They were really trying to sell that soundtrack when this came out. But yeah, you can take this for 1980s Reagan era propaganda, and I can see that totally. But I just think of this as a fun 80s action thrill ride that always makes me smile. I come back to this movie time and time again. I love the dogfighting. I love the Tony Scott style filmmaking, that cool Tony Scott lighting, especially that love scene blue, that really cool blue lighting he likes to do. The music, the fun one-liners, the great moments with Anthony Edwards' character, all the Goose, Maverick, bromance stuff, and the little rivalry with Iceman, Val Kilmer, who is it's just great to watch Val Kilmer young and alive and, just kind of intimidating and also a bit funny and kind of thinking like, maybe he's in his own movie, almost like nobody told him, that he's not the star and just made him think it or something. But yeah, Iceman is awesome, and it's just a fun 80s flick that is kind of near and dear to my heart, and a great experience, great theatrical experience. And yeah, 4 stars. I love Top Gun from 1986. This is a classic. If you haven't seen it, get on it. They have it on streaming. I'm sure it's on Paramount Plus since they have all the Tom Cruise Paramount stuff. And there they are, Tom Cruise and Kelly McGillis right behind him, who the two of them, they really did have some pretty steamy on screen chemistry. And yeah, I really did enjoy their scenes whenever there was that chase. When it comes to the romance in this movie, it's all about the little cat and mouse chase that's in there. And yeah, Kelly McGillis is very good in the film too. And yeah, just a classic of the 80s, Top Gun from 1986. Check it out. Thank you guys very much for watching this classic movie review. If you're new to the channel, if you're into this kind of thing, if you like movies, and if you're just watching this for the first time, subscribe if you like what you see, and don't forget to click the bell for notifications for more reviews coming out soon. If you're a returning viewer, thank you very much for your views and your support. The 2 or 3 of you that still watch, I appreciate it. Please don't forget to comment, share, like. It helps, and I'll see you guys in the next classic movie review. Have a good one, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, peace out. God bless.